Hey there friends, and welcome to this stitch tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do the Peking knot. This is sometimes also called the Chinese knot, and it basically just creates a knot but with this really lovely kind of looped texture. Or you can actually use it to just create a general knot similar to a French knot that I've got here. So it's really fun. I love the outcome. I love that you can make these kind of flower petals and make them look like really textured flowers that sit kind of off the fabric. So there's lots of ways you can use this stitch. Now before we begin, I do just want to let you know that this is quite a tricky stitch. It's straightforward, but getting it right can actually be kind of tricky because it's so easy to just pull the knot through the fabric. You've got to be very, very patient with it and very gentle with it, because the harder you pull, it pulls it all the way through and you can't get it back. A bit like a French knot really. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So bring our needle up where you would like the knot of the Peking knot to be. So the knot here. And then we need to create a circle with the working thread. And I don't just mean a loop like this, we actually need it so that it crosses over. So the way that I find it easiest to do this is to kind of like wrap the thread so that the working thread goes behind, because what you want is for the thread to cross. So I'll try and explain that again. So we don't want to just create a loop like this where the threads don't cross at all. We want a loop where the threads are overlapping each other. So can you see here, we've got the working thread going up and then going behind it here. And what we want is that kind of crossover of these threads. Once you've managed to get your loop, and it doesn't matter what size it is at this point because you can pull it tighter in a minute, but once you've got it so that your thread is crossed over, we then want to put our needle down inside the loop, crossing over both of those threads. So let me just grab another needle to show you what I mean here. So we came up here, the working thread is going up and around, and then round the back of the working thread so that they are crossing, and the needle is going over this piece of working thread and also this piece of working thread in the middle of the loop that we've created here. And what's also important is that I'm bringing the needle very close down to where I did that very first stitch. I'm literally just kind of pinning down this crossed over stitching, and then we're going to pull that all the way through so that it's nice and tight. Now that is actually the Peking knot. You can leave it like that, but if you wanted a smaller loop, all you would need to do is grab the thread that has come through the fabric at the back and keep pulling it, and you will see that that loop gets a bit smaller. But you have to be very gentle with it, because if you pull it too much, like I just did then even, it's now pulled the knot out of place, and then it's really hard to get that back in position where you need it to be. So just pull very, very gently and very carefully. You can see how slow I'm pulling that there, until it is exactly the right size loop or circle that you would like it to be. Now I really love this stitch because it kind of creates like a perfect circle. You know, like a lazy daisy is very much more oval. This one creates this really gorgeous perfect circle, and I just love the outcome, and I love how that could be used in like so many different ways. Again, you can make it a bit smaller. You can use your needle to kind of fluff it out so the strands sit where you want them to sit, but just, it's a very, how do I phrase it? It's a gentle stitch. You've got to be very gentle with it and be very patient with it, because it's really frustrating when you pull one through accidentally. So we're just going to go ahead and do that one again. So bring your needle up where you'd like the knot to be. And also when you come up for the second one, you need to be very careful, because if you now pull this through too much, it's going to make that circle even smaller again. So even when you're pulling through ready for your next one, you need to be very, very careful to pull the thread through very slowly until it stops, and not like yank it even further, because that will reduce your lovely Peking knot down to one of these. So again, I kind of find it easier to kind of wrap it behind itself. You could also wrap it this way if you wanted. It also depends which way you want the circle to be, but I like to kind of wrap it in that direction. So you can see now we've got the working thread crossing over each other. I'm going to put my needle down in the circle, crossing over both pieces of the working thread, and I'm going to pull my needle all the way through, pull it tight, and I would like the knot to be a bit smaller than that, so I'm really gently pulling that from the back. And you do have to pull the thread evenly as well, because I've just pulled it a bit unevenly there, and you can see that some strands have pulled through quicker than others, which is why you've kind of got a couple that are coming through at a different time. So you really do need to be very gentle with this stitch. And this is one that I always recommend to split your strands of thread and put them back together before you stitch anyway. I would always recommend you do it for this one, just because it helps the strands to kind of sit more smoothly together. Believe it or not, I did split the strands before I did this one, and they're just not really plain ball. But that just kind of goes to show how kind of careful you have to be with this particular stitch, especially if you want to have those really perfect circles and those loops. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more to show you. Right then, so one final show through of this. So we're going to kind of wrap that loop so that the threads overlap each other. I'm going to pop our needle down just next to where we came up, but making sure that it's in the middle of the loop and crossing over both parts of the working thread. And then pulling that working thread super gently. Remembering you can use your needle to kind of control the loop as well. See, I've literally just split my thread and it's gone all tangled again. Definitely not playing ball lately. And you can make those loops as big or as small as you like. Now I'm going to do one final one just to show you actually what happens when you pull it too tight and the kind of knot it gives you when you do that. So again, I'm just going to loop that so that they cross over. Put my needle down in the middle of the circle, crossing over both strands. Pull it tight. And now I'm just going to pull that one. Of course that one works really well, doesn't it, when I'm planning to pull it all the way through. If you keep pulling it, it will just go into this kind of knot, and it does look very similar to a French knot. It's just a slightly different knot to, or a different way to get a knot than we would usually, but that is what happens when you pull it all the way through, and then there's kind of no recovering that. You won't be able to now pull that back out like a loop, a bit like a French knot. Once it's a knot, and it's really hard to undo. So that is the outcome there. As I said, there's lots of ways you can use this. I love the idea of using it as like flower petals, where you would just create, you know, several of these around in a circle to create this kind of really lovely flower petal look here. I even did a French knot in the middle to make it look a bit more like a flower. But there's lots of ways you can use this. You can use them as kind of just like accents. I really loved using like the four-legged knot, which is a blooming stitcher stitch, or even just a French knot or a cross stitch, can make like really cute little accents around a pattern. You could use these for the centres of flowers. There's lots of ways you could use them, and I'm really excited to see how you guys give it a go, see how you get on with it, see if you enjoy it, and hopefully they will appear in a future outline challenge here in the membership. Happy stitching!